Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Resurrection Cup 2026 round of 16. Today we're gonna be covering a match, an elimination match between Seed 20 and Seed 29. It's going to be, I'm sorry, mrneasel against Sonion. We have an American squad playing against more so a mixed team in the face of mrneasel. So gonna be quite an interesting one. Both teams already lost their first round of 32 match. Sonion, seed 29, lost against a seed 4 team. So Ethan Trick's record on Decayton definitely did not let them get even a single point. So it's fair enough. Cannot blame anyone for not getting many points against such a team. And mrneasel lost against a seed 13 team, which had Basketball and RNG and all the other low tier 1 tournament players from the US. So really faced really strong teams back there, and now meeting each other for the elimination and for getting the ticket to that quarterfinals match. So we shall wait and see how this is gonna end up. But for now, my name is Philoxen. I'm gonna be your caster for today, and I'm also joined by the lovely iFlame. Hello iFlame, and how are you doing? Well, all right then. That was a bit awkward. We're gonna stall a bit, but yeah. Regardless of that, I believe we have both teams in the lobby already. So the format is still the same. It's best of 9. It's just one band first to 5 points wins. And honestly, looking at the strategies, trying to predict what both teams will go for, I would say, if we're looking at Team Sonion, you are more so expecting those mechanics maps to come into play later down the line. And regarding the bans, I wouldn't honestly be surprised if we saw something like some gimmicky bans. Maybe not only gimmicky, also some other control maps, because this is what Team Iris is really strong at. And for Iris, vice versa, I would say getting rid of a tapping map is quite a good option, because that's what we saw last time. Team Iris not being able to play those tapping maps. But while I was talking and trying to predict what we would see happening, which bans, it seems like iFlame is finally here. So with a bit of an emergency, we're finally back on track. Hi iFlame, and how are you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing well. Discord decided to reset all of my input devices. So that was pretty cool. But we're here now. We have functional audio. So we're better off than we were a few seconds ago. But yeah, like you mentioned, interesting setups. You know, if you look at the lineup, players like Aleph, Trempentino, players that tend to excel on some of these more mechanically focused picks. So wouldn't be surprised to see them targeting more of the aim, potentially more of the tech slots as well. Whereas Team Sonion, they've got a really solid kind of gimmick lineup between Hubba Wubba and Emerald Ages, these really strong low AR kind of gimmicky players. And so you certainly expect to see those banned out. Team Sonion are going to be banning out the DT2. I'm going to imagine that will be the speed map of this pool.
Yeah, that's more of a speed stamina map, quite long one at 210 BPM, so it would definitely make your stamina drain out if you are Team Story mrneasel, especially considering they triple FC DT2 in their last match. Everyone having around 98.5, 99% accuracies, and that map also being a stamina check. That is a perfect ban that I'm seeing here from Sonion, because mrneasel are just gonna completely excel at that one. And a reply from mrneasel as follows is going to be your HD2. I mean, you already mentioned iFlame, we see Emerald Ages, we see Hubba Wubba, extremely strong players when it comes to the HD modification overall gimmick department. So far, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yep, and it will, of course, be Sorry mrneasel who have the first pick. And it does feel like they have a lot of good options in this pool to start out. You know, you could certainly see something like one of the other DT maps, since they seem to excel on those. You know, you could look for, I mean, the DT1 is slightly more awkward, but they also have the DT3 if they want to keep in the trend of burstier maps. And then they have the Nomad 2, which has been left open, which is that another faster map. They're going to go for Nomad 1 instead. Another unsurprising pick is they do love the inconsistency. I suspect we're likely going to see Aleph, Trempentino, and a third, quite possibly Soryu in for Sorry mrneasel. And, you know, Sonion do have some solid aim players themselves. Definitely going to be seeing Tricky Pugster in for this one, but it's going to be tough for them to match the lineup of mrneasel.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I think you're looking at that seeding, it's seed 20, but you also have to consider that Aiko, one of the stronger mechanics players, did not even participate in qualifiers. So if Aiko was there, they might have gotten even a higher seeding. So on paper, should be an uphill battle for Team Sonion on this Nomad 1 in particular. That Nomad 1 is also 5 minutes long. I believe that was pulled also in Final League grants, and even the strongest 5-digit aim players in the world were like, they didn't even come close to have seen that map. But oh, it seems like we got a bit of a misinformation here, because it's not Nomad 1, it turned out to be a Nomad 5 pick, and
It's a rating
I
pick
played that.
into Sonion.
Huh? Wait, is this real? Is this really happening?
It seems to be real. I mean, we can say the in-game chat, but Fluxen, I am as baffled as you are. You know, especially after betting it into, you then pick the next rating map into the rating team. I mean, maybe they are confident enough they can win it, even picking into their opponent's best skill set. But you know, surely if you had just left it for a few maps, this would have been Sonion's, you know, second or third pick. So yeah, I don't get it, but you know, the maps have to be played for a reason. So we'll see how it goes for them.
Yeah, trying to catch Sonion off guard in this Nomad 5.
Could be.
And yeah, it's gonna be your gimmick map. Yeah, no, not surprised that it is AR8. It's gonna be about your flow. It's gonna be about your stack overlaps with flow. It's a map from Mir, so you could quite expect what to expect from this one. And yeah, I mean, of course, you have Aleph who just perma lobbies everything, so definitely
Yeah.
Aleph gonna show up for this Nomad 5. Also, pretty sure we would not be against playing this one, but I don't know, it's a very ballsy first pick, and that might backfire. That might backfire really badly, as you already mentioned. It could have very well been either a first or a second pick for Team Sonion, not for Team, sorry, mrneasel. And, well, in case the plan actually doesn't work out for them, it's gonna be quite great for Team Sonion. But if it does, then the morale for Team Sonion is gonna be
There you go.
quite damaged.
Yeah, maybe it's the mental angle. You know, you expect Sonion to pick like Nomad 5, Free Mod 2 as their first two picks, but you know, if you pick the Nomad 5 and beat them on it, all of a sudden they're probably going to be too scared to pick Free Mod 2. Maybe that's the angle. Regardless, we're going to find out shortly. Tricky Pugster is apparently a sight rating, which is not usually a great sign on the more gimmicky picks. I mean, he's a very capable player, so if anybody in this match is capable of sight rating something like the Nomad 5, would be them, but definitely doesn't inspire confidence.
True. Yeah, also, you know, quite interested how Tricky Pugster will perform, because according to the previous match, Tricky Pugster just was not there, and that's one of the reasons they got swept by a seed 4 team in round of 32. So now that Tricky Pugster is here, who is quite literally a perma lobby player for Team Sonion, and seems like they will now have a better chance of winning any sort of map with their core player. And now, as we're finally seeing the MP Start 5, we're gonna finally kickstart this match. And yeah, the first pick, quite controversial. And the lineup is also here. A really expected duo of Haba and Emerald Aegis for this Nomad 5. Tricky Pugster is also here as expected. And it's going to be Aleph, Pui, and Suryu for that gimmick Nomad 5 map.
Yep, and we've already got a full reset from pretty much everybody except for Aleph, unsurprising, as the perma-lobbied player for mrneasel. It's going to be continued misses from both Emerald Aegis and Haba, the players who would have hoped to have put a little bit more practice into the map, seeing as Tricky Pugster didn't have a chance to, but it's a little bit of shambles right now for Team Sonion, as I don't think they've gotten a single combo above 100 thus far into the map. I mean, we are seeing quite a few resets on the side of mrneasel as well. It is an incredibly difficult map, but they're consistently been able to get those combos above that 100 mark, now approaching 200, and so they're going to continue to build this score lead up, now approaching 100,000 points.
Yeah, I feel like no one is having fun on this map. This is not just about outlasting each other. And so far, Iris are doing a great job. But at the moment I say that, however, there is a double break from Aleph and Puyo. But still, Suryu with a really good recovery and a decent accuracy halfway through the map, gonna be gonna become that monolith for Team Story and mrneasel to prevent any sort of a comeback chance from Sonion. And yeah, it has been working out, especially that slow part is only gonna help Suri with consolidating the lead. That slow stream is just giving 3 points to Suri right now and to mrneasel. It's just the last KI that Sonion will try and bring it back, but so far it has not been working out.
Yeah, and at this point, with the combos as they are, this score lead is already nearly out of reach, and there is just a quarter of the map to go. And unfortunately, Sonion don't really have many combos to make up that kind of a score difference. And, you know, we questioned the pick a little bit when we saw that No Mod 5 come up, but clearly it was well thought out and they were well prepared for this pick, have had much stronger combos into the end of the map. Soryu absolutely popping off in the second half, and they're going to close this one out with a solid 500k, potentially 550k score difference on their first pick.
Yeah, absolutely stunning performance from Suri right here, and I guess iFlame, sorry, mrneasel knew something we did not, because
Really?
in my books it was about that really competitiveness, a really competitive performance in those gimmick maps, but now we've been proven wrong, and the only other gimmick map left in the pool is now free mod 2. Whether they want to go for it next time or not, not sure, because of course it's about your roster depth, it's about your hard rocks. So yeah, I do. In any case, I do not think Sonion are gonna even consider that last gimmick opportunity to be picked by their side. So sorry, mrneasel really showed that gimmicks, they are uncontested on those.
Yeah, I mean, before this map, I would have thought it would be an easy, free mod 2 pick for Sonion, like you mentioned, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like it's no longer going to be the case. I do expect them to go towards some of the alt picks, maybe something like the No Mod 3, or, okay, looks like they did just go for the No Mod 3. Incredibly unsurprising. It's going to be your snap alt pick, and, I mean, this is a map that I'd expect a player like Emerald Ages, and, I mean, even Hubba Wubba to some extent to be quite comfortable on. And what's scary for Sonion in a match like this is that it doesn't feel like there's any guaranteed maps, really. You know, players like Aleph are always going to be very capable on a more standard pick like this one, and so they're going to have to keep their combos up and be on top of things.
Yeah, totally. That's No Mod 3. I mean, you still have to test the waters, and overall I would expect Sonion to go into those control/consistency picks, because on paper, that tapping mechanics is definitely on the side of Sorry mrneasel. They have a monopoly over those. So yeah, No Mod 3. Interesting how this will go. It's gonna be about your snap alt, about your aim control. Your cursor has to be on point, and also the snap alt patterns are quite widely spread throughout the screen. So gonna be one of the more challenging maps. For example, we did see a C12 team with MCY4 and Nishihawa not being able to lock an FC on that No Mod 3.
Oh.
So it is quite demanding in terms of your consistency and overall comfort. And Sonion, being a lower seed against a C20, gonna be trying to abuse that. Gonna be I'm not sure how to feel about this iFlame, but honestly, I do not think there is many more guaranteed opportunities as you always had.
Oh no, I definitely like the pick for Sonion. Like you said, it's certainly not guaranteed, but I think based on how that No Mod 5 went, it seems like going towards alt is going to be their best bet from now going forward. If the alt map doesn't work out, maybe you have to pivot to something else, but for now, stick with your best skill set. I think that's kind of what you have to do as the lower seed. And like you mentioned, this is an incredibly tough map. We don't generally expect to see any FCs on this, so if you can find just a single player to pull out either an FC or even just an 800k score on this map, it could absolutely make a difference against a team like mrneasel. Unsurprisingly, we've got quite a few roster changes. We've got Bongwong and Mizuna and Akusa making appearances for Sonion. Meanwhile, mrneasel will swap in Puyu, but otherwise running the same lineup we saw last match.
Yep, looks like it. Quite a standard overall lineup for Team Sonion, as Hubba and Emerald Ages are more about your gimmicks, more about your HD. So let's see how the core roster of Team Sonion performs in this one. So far, they are having a slight head start because of an early break from Silver, but still, it's just the early days. We're still waiting for the first KI. Aleph, however, finds a second one, which only helps Sonion to try and accelerate and try and get that score lead on their side, make that safety pocket. So far, it is happening. The first Ki is entering, and double break from Sonion is gonna slow things down.
Yeah, Bungwung, the only one to survive that section. Siryu, not too far behind, but only on 250k means Sonion are going to be able to build up a pretty decisive advantage here, approaching 150,000 points. And this is not that long of a map. It's only 3 minutes in length, so at the halfway mark, Sonion are not out of the woods just yet, but they do have a comfortable buffer going to the second half of the map. And it's just this battle right now of Bungwung versus Siryu, and until we see a miss out of Bungwung, this score lead is going to continue to grow. We are seeing more misses from the supporting cast of Sonion, but for the most part, they are being traded by Sorry Mr. Diesel.
Yeah, so far everything is under control, but I mean one miss from Bangwang is gonna really flip the script for them, because you look at Iris, they have Elephant Suler with those recoveries, and now, speaking of the devil, there's a break from Bangwang, exactly the opening that Iris were looking for. They are hungry to get a break point right off the bat. That will be dream come true for them. And as we're entering the last quarter of the map, Suler and Aleph are just not letting those combos go. Their grip is really strong. They're not softening. Finally, Aleph goes down, but still you need to do something about Suler, which is just not happening. That last Ki is here, only Tricky Puxer to try and save the day, but the score is still gonna be moving towards Team Blue.
Yeah, it's Tricky Pugster right now that is keeping things close. If Tricky Pugster misses, there could be time for the score lead to go over still, just because Silyu's combo is so massive compared to everybody else. But Tricky Pugster holding on for just long enough. This is a bit of an easier section, and it seems like Sonion have managed to hold on. Bungwon finds another miss towards the end, but there goes Siryu. That's going to seal it for sure, as Sonion managed to get a point on the board. And that No Mod 3 pick really working out for them. Nice to see they've got some direction back in this match, as I believe there are a couple other alt maps in the pool that they can look to for their next pick. But it is Sorry Mr. Neasel with the next choice, and Philoxen, originally I would have expected them to look towards some of the more aim maps. You know, I wasn't necessarily surprised by that No Mod 1. Could have seen the DT, some of the speed picks. But do they ever just go for free mod 2? Looks like not going to be the case. They will go for that DT3 after all. So going back to the tried and true, sorry, Mr. Neasel strategy with some speed. This one is 270 ppm, of course. Going to be more dense bursts. You don't have to worry too much about aiming them, but this is a pretty old map as well. I want to say it's from 2010 or 2011.
Yeah, you're almost right. I think it's 29, so it is
You're
17
right,
years old. Yeah, it is really old, and I mean, it has a 5-digit ID, so that just says a lot. Quite an interesting old map, Necrophantasia, obviously, 270 BPM. Those long bursts, those short streams that you have in it, and also in between those bursts you have those interesting flowy old map patterns, quite linear, and honestly that just kind of a hidden gem, something that new gen players are not aware of. But yeah, overall is going to be about your tapping. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? You see your opponents banning DD2, you're just going for a DD3. Even though it's not
easy.
about your stamina, it's still testing your tapping mechanics really well, especially your speed cap check. So, considering Iris managed to pull off, I believe, a triple FC on DD2 and a triple FC on Noma 2 in previous match, those were the 2 points they won against the Seed 13 team. That one should definitely go into their favor.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the kind of map where accuracies can be relevant. You know, on these really high BPM MASH maps, you do tend to see some lower accuracies for the players that can't comfortably stream, you know, burst 270, which is still a fair few players. It's certainly not easy to do. But it does mean, I think, Sunion's angle of attack here is they just kind of have to do their best to mash through, get those lower accuracy high combos, and hope that Mr. Neasel gets some unlucky breaks. Should get into this one shortly. We'll see if we get similar lineups here to that No Mod 3. I mean, imagine they're going to be slightly different as we get our speed players in on both sides.
Yep. And ooh, wait, I'm actually quite surprised that we are not seeing one of the core tapping players for Team Sorry Mr. Neasel right here. I mean, I expected Aiko to be there and also Trumpetino, but they're just not here. Those were the two players that actually got a really strong scores, really strong FCs last weekend. It might just be that Iris are only bringing 3 players to the game because I do not think we have seen many of those substitutions so far. Let's see how this goes. So far it has been working out, but with those substitutions not being put into the map, with your tapping specialist not being here, I am actually not that one-sided anymore, right, Flame?
Yeah, in one sense that's true, but I would say, you know, they knew their lineup, what their lineup would look like coming to this map, and they still had the confidence to pick it, so I would imagine they're still confident enough that they can put up a pretty solid team score on the map, so I would certainly still give them an edge on the pick, but like you said, maybe not as big of an edge as we would have previously thought. Had they had their normal speed roster? We have had a few misses. Bungwung with an early miss finds another there. Nizuna and Suryu both trading, and it's going to be 2 big FCs to 1 in favor of Sorry Mr. Nizuna. Aleph the only one on the FC, but Puyu Tricky Pugster not too far behind. Suryu follows that one up with another miss. Not too sure about that one. Throws the question mark in smoke during the break, but it is a pretty lengthy map for a tapping one. We do see some of these more awkward patterns. It makes it a lot less comfortable and easy to find those random misses compared to some of your more modern burst map. We see Aleph nearly dropping on that flow aim pattern, but does hold on. Just going to be a couple hundreds instead, and now it's been pretty steady since those early misses. The score lead has stabilized at about 140,000 points. Nizuna and Soryu are going to continue to trade, and otherwise it is just that extra FC still for Sorry Mr. Neasel.
Yeah, it's just that Iris are getting that third player syndrome in the face of Silryu, but it's also just that only Tricky Puckster on the side of Sonion is being actually capable of holding to an FC right here, as both of his teammates are having below 90% accuracy scores, and so far it doesn't even matter. That's why Iris are still pulling off a double FC. I wanted to say, but it was a break from Aleph. It's now a 1 versus 1. Still though, the difference between the two is quite colossal. However, after a break from Puyo, oh my god, it's now just Tricky Puckster with an FC. Do you have what it takes to bring it all the way back? You need to hold as much as you can the lead. Look at that, he is dragging it back with all his power, everything he can. Just last quarter of the map left.
Yeah, these maps are so dense. Yes, 140,000 points, but if Tricky Pugster can hold them, we don't see too many misses from the supporting cast of Sonion. There's absolutely time to bring this one back. The accuracy right now holding them back, but the player you have the big combo on has the accuracy you need to keep this map in check. It's going back over quicker and quicker. Sorry, Mr. Neasel, desperate to build back some recoveries. Aleph with yet another miss. They need every bit of combo they can here if they want to stay alive. I don't know if they're going to have enough time. This is going to be a close one for Luxon.
Oh, for sure. And this is not what Iris were looking for. This is their big. They are the mechanics beasts. And right now, it is Tricky Puckster completely flipping their world. Finally goes down. And can it be brought back now is a different question. There is no combo. Only Puyo with 300. But as everyone finds those breaks, the lobby covers and misses. And only Puyo survives the battlefield. Tricky Puckster was so close, yet so far from bringing it back, from making that breakpoint real, but it was just a bit not enough. 100 more combo, and I believe he would have gotten it in the pocket, but Puyo came here, said, no, 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 now that you have that crazy combo, my recovery is gonna stop it. And yep, so far everything has been working out for both teams, maybe not as decisive as they wanted it to, like a Noma 3 on that DT3, but still, a win is a win.
Yeah, it is. I mean, an incredible score from Tricky Pugster, but unfortunately, barely not enough. And I have to say, this match is not going how I would have expected coming into it. You know, sorry, Mr. Steezel, pick the No Mod 5 after banning Hidden 2 and win it in a pretty dominant fashion. And then they pick the DT3 that we expected and have an incredibly close showing on it. So, you know, what do we know, Philoxen? Apparently, not much in this case, but we'll see if Sonion can bring this one back. I think they do still have a couple good choices for alt maps. I feel like, you know, the first alt map worked out. There's not too much of a need to bring things back, and so you'd be looking likely at something like the Fremont 3, because I don't believe there's really a hidden or hard rock alt map available for them to choose. And so after the Fremont 3, they would of course have to switch things up a little bit, but that's a problem for a later time. Of course, that Fremont 3 isn't just a standard alt map, it's a little bit more rhythmic, a little bit more techy. And so I could still see there still being some hesitation around that pick, and they'll certainly take their time to decide. Otherwise, we could see them going for maybe a tech pick, and they're going to go for no mod 4.
Yep,
and what's nice about the no mod, yeah, I was just gonna say what's nice about the no mod 4 is it does potentially open up some other options. You know, if they can win this, then they're looking at things like Hard Rock 1, and so it does open up some more pick options going forward.
Yep, definitely. And honestly, if we're looking at their quals performance, because this is the first time they're gonna be picking into no mod 4 in their lifespan in this tournament. Nomad 4, they got seed 28 in qualifiers on it, and the opponents got seed 18. Considering this map is gonna be quite similar to the one we had in qualifiers, that's looking a bit shabby on paper, but at this point, maybe they know something we don't, because of all those maps that have been picked already were either really surprising for us or were not as decisive victories as we would have expected. But yeah, this Nomad 4, I mean, of course we need to shout out the absolute amazing person, the Bit Wizard, for making this song come true. A great composer, so a couple of shout outs in chat to the Bit Wizard would be amazing. And it's also a custom. Obviously it's a custom because it's an original as well. It's a custom by Fireblaze, a mapper that is really well known for mapping a lot of those tech maps, so was just the right choice for this original. And overall features a lot of that mech tech, a lot of slider tech, and is definitely a really good tech control test.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I like the direction for Sonion as we wait for the players to fill into the lobby. Looks like we do finally have Aiko joining here for Sorry Mr. Neasel. So at least we know Aiko is available. Has been a very strong player for Sorry Mr. Neasel thus far in the tournament. Is having some tablet issues, so that's why we didn't see Aiko earlier.
I mean, you know, those tablet issues almost, they almost resulted in Iris losing that DT3 mechanics pick. But now that Aiko is here, I just wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of those mechanics pick. Those would be way more confident now that Aiko is here. Not gonna show on for this Nomad 4 because it's more of a control map. That's something that fits Solryu way better. Aleph is also here. Yep, we're gonna be starting off with our No Mod 4. Starting off with already those kick sliders with those slider tech sections. The intro is quite brutal as we're seeing a double break right off the bat. Still, Sonion are holding a triple FC. Finally, Nazuna goes down, and overall a couple of misses across the board. No one is holding an edge right now.
No, right now, Tricky Pugster is the last FC standing. We do see some good recoveries at the very least out of Aiko and Ziryu, so it's the FC versus the two recovery combos. That's going to keep things relatively close. The score lead should be pretty stable around the 50,000 point mark until a few more misses, but coming out of this break, we do get into another tricky section, and there's going to be a lot of potential for misses there. And so Sonion at this point desperately needs Tricky Pugster to hold because the recovery combos, you know, they are being built back up, yes, but they are a decent bit behind the recovery combos on the side of Mr. Neasel, so we're still at the stage where every miss is going to be incredibly relevant here.
Yeah, indeed, when missing on this slow part for Bangwang was not something they were looking for. Now that they start losing their score, their advantage, they really do not want to have that because that's their pick. Having a break point in the mid game of the match is going to be a really crucial moral breaker, and right now Iris, they do not care, they're unfazed. That build up to the last Kia is not stopping them. Everyone is holding at least a 500 combo recovery. Finally a break from Suru, but it is immediately traded by Nazuna, leaving Aiko and Aleph still having an upper hand against Tricky Pugster, and a small but sure recovery from Mung.
Yeah, halfway stage of the map is one of the rougher points to miss for Silryu. Tricky Pugs are really the only thing keeping things close for sonion, but these two recoveries are really getting up there as well. Only about 200 combo behind that FC from Tricky Pugster, so the hope for sonion right now is that one of those drops off and Tricky Pugster has to know this pattern. There goes Aleph. That is one big combo down on the side of Sorry Mr. Sneasel. Now Tricky Pugster versus Aiko in a bit of a 1v1 here, but it's a good recovery for Nizuna. Is bringing the score difference back over alongside some accuracy drops for Aiko. With that 92% accuracy, that combo is going to be worth so much less than Tricky Pugster's combo. Around much higher accuracy. Aleph finds yet another miss. Zoryu is in a recovery, but there goes Aiko. It's a full reset from Sorry Mr. Neasel, and Tricky Pugster continues to hold on. sonion, they're going to get another point on the board and keep this one tied up at 2-2.
Yep, Tricky Pugster just like that flicks his fingers and turning pressure into power. That really would have come down to the wire if not Tricky Pugster closing this Nomad 4 with a really strong FC. A ridiculous performance from the guy, and yep, 2-2. All of those points, almost all of those points I play were really close, but now the tension is only gonna rise more and more as we're getting further into this match. Rose also winning attack map is quite great as a lower seed so far, holding their ground and getting themselves more opportunities to go into other control and techie maps. For example, I'm in particular looking at that Hard Joke 1, I believe, which is all about your slider aim. So that's some food to process for them for their next pick. But now we're waiting for a reply from Iris, and we already have one, I claim.
Yes, we do. I mean, unsurprising, right? This was always going to be the direction at some point in the match. You've been out DT2. It's unsurprising that you just go very quickly for the other two speed maps in the pool. This one, not quite as speedy as your DT3, of course, 240 BPM, so a fair bit slower, but you are going to have longer streams, longer bursts to compensate for that, and so you do have to worry about the aim aspect of the map a little bit more. It is only 2 minutes, so shouldn't be too much of a stamina drain, but you know, we saw how the last one went. I'm curious if we do indeed get Aiko in this time around, and if that'll make the difference, because the DT3 ended up being a lot closer than we initially expected.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you definitely put Aiko in this one. Especially considering the difficulty of the map being 7.5 star rating and the average pool star being 7.1, that really tells you a lot. This tapping map, also considering its drain, which is 2 minutes and 10 seconds, it's quite short, which allows it to have a lot of those tapping sections, a lot of those shorter streams, a lot of speed finger control. So it's challenging and a half for especially sonion. Gonna be a really hard pill to swallow. But I believe, iFlame, we're just gonna see how things go for sonion, how they will be looking right off the bat. That's one of the maps that you really will have a pretty okay understanding of how comfortable players are just by looking at the first 10 or 20 seconds of the map, and that's gonna be really the important moment.
Yeah, and I mean, they're coming in as a much lower seed, so with that in mind, sonion have done a fantastic job so far. The question really is, can they keep it up, and for how long? I mean, getting a breakpoint would be absolutely massive for them, and so would love to do it on the No Mod 2. But the other thing that's interesting is, after this No Mod 2 pick, the picks get a lot more difficult for Sorry Mr. Neasel, right? You picked all the obvious speed options. You know, after that No Mod 5, maybe they do feel more confident for something like a free Mod 2, but it's not necessarily as obvious. So here we go. We do have very similar rosters on both sides. We do get Aiko as predicted. We'll see if that can give Sorry Mr. Neasel a bit more of an edge here. We do see some early misses coming out from both Nizuna as well as Aiko. Wong is going to follow that up with a miss of their own. And yet again, it's Tricky Pugster, the last SC standing for sonion, but there's going to be plenty of time to build those recovery combos back up on both teams.
Yeah, for sure, but I feel like right now my eyes are glued to those accuracies, and by accuracy, Iris is definitely having an edge right now. 99 from almost all the players as we're entering the first KI, only gonna show more difference between the two teams, the gap in that accuracy, the gap in discomfort as we're entering the more and more intense sections, having zero troubles while you're seeing a double break from sonion. Fui finally goes down. Actually, a combo reset, a full one. But same goes for Sonya. No one now has an advantage. It's just pure chaos between the two. And that allows this core lead to stagnate. It's 200k and no one is being able to shift it into any side.
Yeah, I mean, the full reset always favors the team that's ahead because now Sonion, they just don't have the combo to catch up. There is plenty of time left in this map to bring the score lead back. Because the map is so short, even though it's 200k, that can swing in an instant if we see a few more chain misses on the side of Sorry Mr. Neasel. There's one from Puyu on the easier section, but into the last Ki here, this is going to be the real test for Sonion. They're going to need to hold on to pretty much every one of these combos to bring this one back. There goes Bung One. That's one combo down. Not going to be traded back by anyone on the side of Sorry Mr. Neasel. Puyu misses again, but had dropped earlier, so that one's a lot less impactful. Now Aleph drops. It is Aiko keeping Sorry Mr. Neasel in the running, but Nazuna trades. That's one that Sonion couldn't afford, and I think that will likely do it for them unless we see Tricky Pugster pull out an absolute miracle.
Yeah, iFlame, you can clearly see the difference between a DD3 and the difference between a No Mod 2. Now that Aiko is here, Iris is just feeling way more confident in those tapping maps, and it's just speaking volumes right here. 600k finish from Aiko, really strong recoveries as well from Aleph and Puyo, and that's what makes the team synergy really intimidating. 3-2, the tapping mechanics are now definitely going into Iris. They are better than Rose on those. The good part though is that, well, there are no more really strong tapping heavy maps. Yep. So they will need to think of a different angle of the attack, and that is some thoughts that they will need to give into the strategy. For Sonion, however, iFlame, we already saw them win Nomad 4, we already saw them win Nomad 3, so what next do you think they will go for?
That's the question. I mean, with the Nomad 3, Nomad 4, it's almost like they're, going through the skill tree, unlocking new perks. They won an alt map. Okay, great. You've unlocked Free Mod 3 as a potential pick. Then they win Nomad 4. Now we've unlocked Hard Rock 1 as a potential pick. So still the options I could expect, but maybe they just want to keep unlocking new skills and go for something like a Nomad 1 and go into Tame instead. Now, I don't think that would be the Nomad 1 would be a smart pick necessarily into a team like Sorry Mr. Neasel. So I think the Hard Rock 1 that you mentioned earlier, or potentially the Free Mod 3, are a little bit more likely. There is the DT pool. The DT1 is quite interesting, but it seems like, a pretty risky pick at this stage of the match. I'd be a little bit more surprised to see that one.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, considering the overall DT performance from Sorry Mr. Neasel in round of 32 and in qualifiers as well, now that they also have Ike on board, definitely gonna be a really risky decision, and well, they know about it and they're going for that Free Mod 3. This is the funky map that I really wanted to see iFlame. It just has a lot of really interesting skill sets, really good combination, because it features not only your control, not only your ult, but it's also about your sliders, it's about your weird rhythm, and overall all that. You combine all those skill sets and definitely becomes a really challenging map. Also considering you really need to test your roster depth on this one, I am really hopeful for Sonion that this pick goes into them, because so far it has been working out, and if it doesn't, that's gonna really ruin pretty much everything for them.
Yeah, here to see whether we see any overmods on this one. Of course, every player, I believe, does need a mod, but they need one hidden, one hard rock, and it is curious because for Sonion, I do wonder if they're going to need to throw either Emerald Ages or Hubba in to play the hidden, or if they throw one of the players that have been kind of Bung Wung, or Nazuna on the hidden instead. I think Aleph is a player that can play the hidden relatively comfortably for sure. So, it feels like Sonion likely have a bit of an advantage in terms of the skill set, but in terms of mod depth, I feel like I'd give that edge to Mr. Sneasel or Mr. Neasel.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Right. I mean, the thing I noticed, right, iFlame, is that usually when it comes to free mods, Sorry Mr. Neasel, they try to focus more on those hard rock modifications, while for Sonion it's more about your hiddens. So I'm expecting a double hidden from Sonion, 1 HR, and vice versa for Mr. Neasel. We shall wait and see.
Players?
Any easy players? A great question. I mean, we know Emerald Ages
We do.
has that habit of picking easy. I mean,
It would be
and
a
also
little
the
crazy on the free mod
it
3,
would
but we can hope, you know?
for sure. And no, I think unfortunately not gonna be the occasion this time around. Um, as expected, there is no one is over modding as far as I'm seeing. It's a no mod from Puya and Tricky Puckster, and also double hidden from Aleph and Silryu, traded by Emerald Ages is hidden and Bong Bong's Hard Rock. So pretty balanced lineup of mods right here as we're entering the first KI.
Yeah, I mean, we have a slight overmod from Sorry Mr. Noodles, as they do have that extra hidden, but we'll see if that does end up being relevant. Usually it's not super. We got a full reset already from Sorry Mr. Neasel early on into the map, and it is both Emerald Ages and Tricky Pugster holding on to strong combos for the side of Sungin. This is their pick, so I'd love to keep this one tied up, of course, and it's honestly a good recovery from Bung Wong as well, but does have significantly lower accuracy, down at 89%, so that is going to slow the score lead a little bit, but with these continued breaks from the side of Sorry Mr. Neasel, the accuracy isn't really going to matter all that much because you still have the combo advantage, which is worth a whole lot more.
Yeah, it is now Aleph against the world, but the Sonion just doesn't care. More breaks are coming from his support teammates, and now that there is a slower part, Emerald Ages finally was a break, but Bang Bang is bringing combo gaming to a whole different level right here. Tricky Buster also was 97.5 Nomad FC is definitely blowing Mr. Neasel out of the water as we're entering the last third of the map. The map is only gonna get harder from now on. Those rhythm sections are definitely able to break the camel's back. We'll see if anyone gets catch off guard by them. So far, a break from Puyu is already speaking volumes, but are there gonna be more coming?
Yeah, and it seems like Tricky Pugster is in fact on the hidden, just a glance side bug, but there's a big miss from Tricky Pugster. They do still have Bung Wung holding on, but Aleph traded that one back, so there's just no combo remaining on the side of Sorry Mr. Neasel. Bung Wung finally finds the miss, but the damage has been done for Lox, and it's a 450,000 point difference with basically none of the map left to go, and Sonion are going to secure this point in a pretty dominant fashion, and I have to say, Tricky Pugster has been on form this entire match. Continues to put up, top score in the lobby after top score in the lobby time and time again.
Yeah, Pugster was not there last time, but this time he stood and he delivered, becoming the star of the show, the hero of the day for Team Sound in 3-3. Both teams are standing on business when it comes to their picks, iFlame, and that only means that the pressure is gonna be rising with both teams' last picks.
Yeah, and this is kind of the big decision-making point for Sorry Mr. Neasel. They've run through all the obvious picks, but they potentially have that added confidence to opt for something like a free mod 2 after having won that no mod 5. I think that's something we've mentioned a couple times now. But if they don't want to go for the free mod 2, what else are they looking at? Because I do still feel like this is a team that you'd expect to be pretty comfortable on some of the more aim-focused picks. Players like, we haven't actually seen Trumpetino yet, so might not be available. I believe Trumpetino would typically be in on some of the more aim-focused maps, so maybe that's what's giving them a little bit more hesitancy towards something like a DT1 or even a no mod 1, but I do think even without Trumpetino, those would be kind of other potential options for this roster if they don't want to go for something like the free mod 2.
Yeah, I totally get it. If you asked me, I would be quite interested about overall that hard rock pool not being touched yet into this match, which is quite a really interesting thing to have. Also, I'm looking at that HD pool in particular. I mean, you did see a ban of HD2 from Iris, right? Meaning that overall they do not really want to get into that HD category, which is quite good for Team Sarnin. So that one might go either way, but overall, if this is about your next consistency, which is HD1, and you winning a gimmick map in the face of normal 5, why not try HD1 is what I'm wondering, because it's also about your flow, it's also about your overall consistency check. But I think after all, I flame the possibilities. No one is happy with the last maps, with their last picks. Like there's no one that can guarantee themselves a point.
Certainly not in a close match like this one, but we were, not too surprisingly, going to see the GT1 pick. That does tell us that they certainly don't feel as comfortable on the free mod kind of gimmick pick, and so we are going to get in, which I think makes a lot of sense. We're likely to see pretty similar rosters to what we've seen so far. I'd imagine if Trementina were here, we would see them in on this pick, but likely unavailable if they haven't played a single map so far, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, we really will. I would also, try and maybe make that argument that no A maps have been picked throughout this entire match, so
not really.
Yeah, could expect honestly anything from here. And I mean, I guess we can take a look at the stats and understand which team will have an edge on a potentially consistency pick. And so far, looking at mrneasel, they actually managed to get pretty high seedings on those XX1 slots, even without Trampetino, like Nomad 1 and HD1. And also HR1 were quite decent for them, so maybe try and go once again into that HR mod pool, but so far, I believe they're taking a timeout because they're really hesitant about their next move.
Yeah, I think a few players wanted to go for bathroom breaks, so, understandable timeout. So we're going to have a bit of extra time to yap on the broadcast here. But this one isn't really quite a consistency test. This aim is a little bit more awkward than your standard DT1 and significantly shorter map as well than you'd often see from DT1s these days. And so it is going to be a bit more of a high roll test. Who can nail those really tricky patterns, as looks like the players are getting back into the lobby. We wait for them to ready up, and looks like we're going to be getting into DT1 any moment now.
Yep, the DT1 is very, very short, I flame. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds. And also the jumps are 340 BPM, correct me if I'm wrong. Really, really fast, way faster than the one we saw last week. It also has 0 burst, it's just about your speed aim ability. And also quite RNG. For example, we saw a Seed 5 team with Skilla and Charitori, the OWC champion, lose this one against the Asian veteran tourney players. Really came down to the wire by the end, so this one might go either way, and it's gonna be just about your comfort so far. An early break from Aiko and Aleph are not gonna be looking so great for Iris.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think this map, because it is shorter, because it's not so much of a consistency T1, you are a lot more prone to low rolling compared to, however many maps however many times you've played the map in practice. It's going to be a slight early advantage for mrneasel, despite those early breaks, as they were traded back by the side of Sonion. That's a pretty big miss from Sonion, as Tricky Pugster does drop, but Aleph trades it back, so it is going to be 1 FC remaining, but it is mrneasel with the better support at the moment, and slightly better accuracies as well. With the score this close, this will start to be relevant. Nazuma finds yet another miss. That is going to hurt Sonion quite a lot. They're really relying on Bungwung right now, especially with that second miss from Tricky Pugster, but that 95% accuracy from Bugwon is going to be hoarding that large combo, and right now, mrneasel are really running away with this one. Aleph finds another miss, but that one doesn't matter. It is Suryu and Aiko going off, and they're going to take the DT1 with no questions whatsoever.
Yeah, you just finished talking, the map has already ended. That's how short it was. I mean, Silver and Aiko, just those combos kept snowballing downhill, and there was no stopping the avalanche. A really successful last pick about this consistency, about this aim check really worked out, as we have suspected. So good for them. Bangwang is not gonna pull off a miracle combo gaming run on this one, even though he came quite close to securing an FC, but not gonna be the occasion this time. And now it is make or break for Team Sonion, the most important pick of the game into this match. And so far, it's been only those control and techie maps that we've been seeing. And looking at the ones that we have left, Fremont 3 is already off the table. Other control maps
Yep.
are also off the table. At this point, I am really not sure, iFlame.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back to tech, there is the Hard Rock one, but
Yeah.
I think you mentioned earlier how Sonion often prefer the hidden on things like free mod, so going into the Hard Rock pool might be a little bit scary for them. You know, I could also see the hidden one coming through, which is, I mean, again, risky, but a little bit more mixed. I think you, especially after that DT one, potentially want to dodge something like the Nomad one or the hidden one. But it's really the stage in the match where all the picks are getting a lot more difficult. There's no guaranteed or even advantage points right now, and they are in fact going to go for that Hard Rock one. Does make a lot of sense given how well the Nomad 4 went for them, and so it is another one of these tech picks. I believe it is a lot heavier on the slider attacks. You don't have nearly as much of these control patterns as we saw with the Nomad 3. And that Nomad 4, and it wasn't guaranteed, so I could certainly see Mr. Neasel angling for a breakpoint here.
Yeah, and you know, it's also about your hard rock, something that Alef definitely showed that he's capable of playing. Even though this HR1 is going to be more of your raw tech test, it definitely has less of those bursts, so it's definitely bringing that tech ability to the limit, to its limit, right? Which that's only gonna make players from Team Sonion focus on those tech elements of the map. And also considering this is being played with Hard Rock, something that, as you said, Iris are should not have trouble in theory. Once again, like with DT1, you can never be sure, and you can never be sure with this HR1. But that's what it takes for Sonion to try and secure that tiebreaker. They already got 3 points. So far, those control maps have been working out, but with more and more picks from them, the intensity of all of those control maps is only gonna start becoming more and more competitive, and at some point it just might become so competitive that Iris just takes a break point, and in this case it's gonna be game over. So really need to pull themselves together on this HR1 if you're Sonion, and just hope for the best.
Yep. You could wonder about the nerves too at this stage of the match. This is a loser's bracket match, remember, so both teams know that this far into the match, having traded picks back and forth throughout, a single breakpoint given up on either side could very easily spell their end of their run in Resurrection Cup 2026. Here we go into the Hard Rock 1. Sonion down by 1, but they have managed to win their own picks so far. Let's see if they can continue that trend with Inceptionism, as we have Bungwung, Nazuna, and Tricky Pugster yet again, just in different slots this time around. And we've got the tried and true tech roster for Mr. Sneasel. We've got Sorio, we've got Aiko, and we have got Aleph. I'm going to be keeping Aleph. We're going to be keeping an eye on Tricky Pugster, as well as, Aiko and Aleph for this one. I think those are the players that tend to put up some extremely strong performances on maps like this, and kind of as expected, both teams off to a relatively easy start as we have a little bit of a build-up to get into the map before we get into the first key eye here.
Yeah, totally. So far, Iris have only been showing 4 players in this match. The strongest player of Sweden is not here, while Rose are with a full roster, looking forward for that tiebreaker. Will Iris be able to stop them and make the score lead 5-3 is the question for this first KI. A double break, a triple break now from the entirety of the team of Iris, while only one falls from Sonion. It's only Bangwang now having the upper hand, having the edge. Still, I've seen this map with 400 combo, really solid accuracy as well, just like last time on that Fremont 3, trying to save the day. That combo is doing wonders right now, and there is no one to match it as we're approaching the halfway mark of this map, and he's only looking forward to bring it all the way to the end.
Yeah, and this seems to be Bungwung's point of comfort. Has had some accuracy struggles on some of the previous maps, but here, nearly the top accuracy in the lobby, right up there with Aleph, whereas everybody else is at 93, even 89% for Aiko, who is a little bit less comfortable on this Hard Rock tech pick, and halfway through the map, it's going to be 100,000 points for Sonion. It is a nice buffer, but it's certainly not a safe one. All it takes is a miss from Bungwon, and this one could swing right back over. Some comfort for Sonion in the fact that Sorry Mr. Neasel don't have great recoveries. There's a rough miss from Bungwon on the slow section. That is one you can rarely afford. They do thankfully have Tricky Pugster with the backup combos, still ahead of anybody on the side of Sorry Mr. Neasel, but going to the last quarter of this map, Vlox, and these recovery combos on the side of Mr. Neasel are going to start to add up.
Yeah, Baxter is the last hope right now for Rose. Iris now see the light at the end of the tunnel with those recovers. The last Kia is truly gonna be the most brutal onto this map, and the map is punishing everyone on the side of Sorry Mr. Neasel. A catastrophical collapse on both sides, and once again, iFlame stagnation is gonna hit the board. It's not gonna be moving. Bangwang and Tricky Baxter have done it. Those 400k scores with the support from Nazuna are gonna secure the 4th point as we're seeing the outro of this song. This is more than enough to make them happy. They're still not out of the winner's bracket. It's going to be 4-4. The lead is still actually growing slowly but surely. They have done it. Every single control pick that they have opted into has worked out flawlessly, and 4-4 indicates that we're gonna see the tiebreaker to have to break the tie.
Yeah, this match has been an absolute banger so far. And
Yeah.
it's such a tricky end to that map, but they put the work in the first half and managed to hold on. We are, as you said, getting the tiebreaker between Sonion and Sorry Mr. Neasel. Could not have asked for a better match. I must admit, I have not looked at this tiebreaker, Covenant of the Sky. I don't know if you know anything about it.
Oh, Covenant of the Sky, iFlame. I mean, the first time I listened to the song, I instantly got those flame wall vibes.
Oh,
and you
yes.
can already hear it. You can already hear it. It's an amazing original from TJRX. We already casted one tiebreaker today, and second one is coming here. Absolute banger of a song, 8-minute one. And we already saw some crazy god modes from a lot of teams, a lot of players. For example, Skilla got 840k on the map and still lost. They still lost that tiebreaker. And, you know, considering what situation both teams are in right here, is that the loser is just gonna leave the tournament, as this is the loser's bracket. This is not winner's bracket. Skilla will have another chance next weekend, but for these two, it's gonna be one final stand. This map is also mapped by Wavy and Piroshki. Piroshki being an OWC mapper, and overall those two mappers representing the new gen Russian mapping. Really prominent mappers from Russia right there. And, well, that's everything you could ask for. An original, and the map featuring a lot of those streams, a lot of those mechanics, both aim and tapping. Nothing too out of the ordinary. It's just going to be about your pure consistency and pure stability when it comes to the tapping hand. 4-4, the timer is also here. I believe it was a timeout or just a countdown, but it's 2 minutes anyway. So if you just tuned in, you're about to witness another tiebreaker, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect we're going to see pretty much identical rosters to what we've seen on the last couple of maps. And Floxen, with your knowledge of this tiebreaker and based on what we've seen so far in this match, who would you give the edge on the tiebreaker? Is it a, Sorry Mr. Neasel advantage just because there's enough tapping?
I would say so. I would say Iris will, by default, have an upper hand on this one. I mean, you have Aleph and you also have Aiko. You might not have Trumpetino, who's really strong in those mechanics, but you have two absolute beasts when it comes to tapping. Their accuracies, their overall stable cursor, their steady aim is what's gonna truly make Sonion have to sweat blood to win this tiebreaker. And I believe we are seeing good luck and fans in chat finally, which means that the last map of this match is gonna come into play. And, well, iFlame, what can we even say? Both of these teams, they have been building that path one by one pick after other. No breakpoints occurred in this match. A lot of maps were incredibly close. A lot of maps actually had a really big gap between each other. But at the end, both teams stood on business and they did not give out any opportunities for a comeback for either of the teams, and that resulted into the tiebreaker. So if you just tuned in, dear viewers, I present to you, this is Covenant of the Sky, the tiebreaker that's gonna decide which team is gonna leave from the tournament. Here are the streams, and a triple break from Iris is going to give an early head start for sonion.
Yeah, some early struggles. I mean, thankfully for them, it is an 8-minute map, but not a great sign as to their comfort level. And on maps this long, on these really lengthy tiebreakers, it is the individual players that have so much potential to make the difference. So we're going to keep an eye on the players that have been performing all match long for both teams. It has been tricky Pugster for a lot of this match on the side of Sonion, and Aiko and Aleph on the side of Sorry mrneasel have been kind of trading those big carry combos, and Suryu has had some really strong scores as well. So, you know, for Sorry mrneasel, certainly feels like they've had more of a team performance, for Sonion has really just had those really impressive individual performances. We do have Hava coming in for this tiebreaker. A little bit of a surprise, but looking strong on it so far. Good combo, good accuracy, of course. Yuki Pugster is the last FC remaining. Aiko not too far behind after that very early miss, and Aleph is on a pretty solid recovery as well. So currently it's just Suryu falling a bit behind, really struggling with both the accuracy and the combo. Hasn't been able to build much up. Meanwhile, we've got 3 pretty sizable combos now on the side of Sonion, but because of how long this map is, it's not going to make a huge dent in the score. It's only going to be about 60,000 for the time being.
Yeah, so far they're taking the matters in their own hands, but look at the map that's in front of us. Only first quarter of the map has passed, and so far it is still more than doable for Iris to bring it back. There's a break from Aleph, because often into that HD, quite respectable modification, but a break is not gonna save the day. Hava is trading with a hidden off his zone. Both are finding breaks, and a break from Tricky Pugster is only gonna leave Iris to have more chances of bringing that 80k score difference back. Nazna, however, is standing in their way as we're finally done with the first quarter of the map. The map is starting to get a bit more intense, and Nazna is only trying to excel at this map, trying to make the score lead skyrocket, but there's a really long way to go, iFlame.
There certainly is, yeah. Sorry mrneasel really needed one of those big combos on either Aleph or Aiko to hold. Now all they can do is play catch up and wait for a miss to come through from Mizuna, but Mizuna has a really big opportunity here. If you can carry this combo to, you know, 1.6, 1.7, especially the 2k mark, all of a sudden you are just solo winning this tiebreaker. So the question is, how far can Mizuna push this? We do see continued misses coming through now for both Tricky Pugster and Hava, which aren't going to matter too much as long as Mizuna holds on. But if we see a miss out of Mizuna, the lack of recovery combos on the side of Sonion is going to make a big difference, as we do see Suryu not too far behind. Aiko is right back up there at a 600 combo. And as we approach the halfway mark of the map, the score difference hasn't grown much. There's a big miss from Mizuna. That's what we were afraid of for Sonion. Now the recovery is not there as Hava finds another miss, and Sorry mrneasel are going to start to bring this one back really quickly.
Yeah, Team Sonion are really vulnerable right now. That Nazuna, the hero of the day, is not gonna be saving it as of now as we're approaching the halfway mark of the map. It's now Silver and Aiko. Look at them taking the matter in their own hands. Silver was 1k combo, Aiko was 800. And the slower part is starting. And now that the map is getting slower, there's gonna be more free combo for both of those tournament beasts. It's only gonna be helping them to bring it back. It already is coming back to them. Celery, however, is finding a break. It's now only Aiko, but it doesn't even matter. Everyone is finding those breaks. It's now Aleph. Look at who is knocking on the door. Aleph, the one that we have been silent about this entire match, is now trying to be the knight in the shining armor, and so far it has been working out, iFlame. Now they have the lead.
Aleph being the only one to hit that section is so big for mrneasel. Had Aleph dropped as well, would have just stopped there and we'd likely have a 3,000 score difference, but Aleph going into yet another slow section is going to build up even more free combo. Suryu misses on a slow slider, but it honestly doesn't matter as it's quickly traded back by Hava. and there is just no recovery on the side of sonion. Aiko is matching their best combo, and Aleph is absolutely taking over this tiebreaker as Sorry mrneasel are approaching the 50,000 point difference. Of course, because it's so long, there's plenty of time for them to bring this one back, and Aleph missing alongside Aiko is going to stem the bleeding, and now we should see the score stagnate for a little bit before we see some bigger recovery combos.
Yeah, Aleph with HD is gonna be finding a break, and that allows Nazem to still have that ray of hope shining onto them with 500 combo recovery. Just last third of the map is left. This song is building up to its climax. 35k score difference only. It is still undecided. This match could not have gone any more closer than it is going right now. Just the last quarter now. You can already see what's coming. Nazuna once again being the final boss for Iris that they're trying to counter right here, but finding a break. Same for Tricky Puckster. Now it's Iris once again taking the initiative. Aleph and Aiko are recovering. What is happening right now? iFlame 40k, they do not want to let it go.
Yeah, but it was a full race up for Sonya, and Silryu, the only one to trade it back on the side of Sorry mrneasel, and now Aiko and Aleph have a really big chance to close this one out. There's not too much map remaining, but it is a very tricky ending section. There goes Aiko now, but it is Aleph once again, the only one to survive this section. Gonna keep Sorry mrneasel well in the lead. Aleph finally finds that drop, but where's the recovery on Sonya? And on a map this long, 60,000 points is a lot to make up, especially because we have a bit of a slower section to end the map, and there might be one more slightly tricky pattern right at the end, but Sonion might just be out of time flux, and they're going to need pretty much a full reset from mrneasel in the next 30 seconds to bring this one back. We'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, they're both clinging to scraps of combo, and every scrap counts. No one is comfortable on this map. It's just pure chaos. Every break hurts, every combo is fragile. This map is eating them alive as this last Ki is gonna be starting slowly but surely. The hardest section of the map is gonna hit both of these teams like a truck. Rose are trying to grab onto every single sort of combo they can, as now we're entering the more intense tapping section. A break from Silver is only gonna help Sonnen in achieving that, but another break from Nazuna is gonna stop the bleeding for Team Iris. Aiko is fighting the break. There's a lot of trades between both teams. 60k is still here. The difference is still constant. It is just not moving. Aleph is still here with the recovery, stopping the immense amount of pressure that is being produced by Tricky Puckster and Haba. Wawa is not gonna be enough. This is an excruciating death for Sonya. Came so close yet so far, right in front of the finish line. Not enough. Sorry, mrneasel are gonna survive this deathmatch, this derby that we have seen today, with Aleph leading the charge on this tiebreaker.
Yeah, what an incredible tiebreaker. What an incredible match as a whole between Sonion and Sorry mrneasel here. Couldn't have asked for much more than that. Huge congratulations to Sorry mrneasel on pulling this one out right at the end. And they're going to be moving on to play the winners of, I believe...
Ooh, it's gonna be Seed 7, Mr. Beast Money.
Oh, dropped the lowest bracket early on. That is going to be a pretty tough matchup for them. Of course, commiserations to Sonion, who are going to be eliminated from Resurrection Cup despite their best efforts. But, you know, we appreciate them for putting on a show in there while they were here.
Yeah, great showing from both teams, but at the end, only one can survive. This, as a C29 team, you can be very happy that you were a C20 team to a tiebreaker. Absolutely, iFlame. With that, I believe everything that needed to be said was already said by us. I believe we still do have a couple of matches to end off this round of 16, so this is not the end of round of 16, but I think with that, iFlame, is there anything you want to say before we end it off?
Yeah, a couple more matches. We've got next 20 UTC, so coming up 30 minutes from now, we have got With It A Lot versus Quick Parsec. That should be an exciting one as well, so make sure to stay tuned for that. After that, it's just 2 matches remaining. 3 UTC Monday, we've got Slushy versus Luciette Seiki. I assume I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's all good. And then Monday 15, we've got Wary versus Narita Top Road versus Nation. So stay tuned for those. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with you guys in 30 minutes time. I've been iFlame, joined by the wonderful Phloxton. Thank you to Pix Hit Store for streaming as well. And last but not least, I thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Bye bye.